Live from Philly.
All right, now it's official. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessie Garcia, and I'm the founder-in-residence for cohort 3 of OnRamp. We are so excited to kick off today with all of you. It's going to be an amazing experience for the next couple of weeks. We're going to get to know each other, get to know each other's businesses, and really try to build a community that could do business with each other and for each other. The reason why I'm here today is I'm the CEO and founder of Tezuda. I've been working on my startup where we design and manufacture head impact indicators for the past 8 years. So I was a rugby player that had a concussion that went undiagnosed, and my coach didn't recognize that I was hurt, let me keep playing in that game. And I got really frustrated in that injury when I like talking to the camera. For 6 months afterwards, I had post-concussive symptoms. And in that frustration, I was like, there has to be a solution for this. And I wasn't an entrepreneur or an engineer when I started off my business. I was a global studies major, and I loved learning about problems. So in that frustration, I went back to school. I ended up getting a master's in engineering and technical entrepreneurship and decided to start building this product. And it was really with people who, it really started off because I sought out people who could help me. And that's why the core of OnRamp is going to be bringing in speakers from different backgrounds. And today, I'm so lucky that we have a panel. We have Tanya Morris from Mom Your Business, who was founder-in-residence last cohort. We have Zave Smith from XBound, who is also part of OnRamp, and Erika Dillard, who is from PopCheck Technologies. So we're going to have an awesome conversation to obviously learn about your experiences and kick off this cohort and get a feel for what speakers will be like during this program. So with that being said, Erika, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Erika. I am from the first cohort of OnRamp with Zave. And with Tom Webster was the Founder-in-Residence.
Yes.
And so in terms of my business, my technology, my company is called PopCheck Technologies. We're creating AI-driven remote monitoring biosensors that help predict whether a patient is developing postoperative complications. And one of the most well-known postoperative complications are venous clots. In fact, of all the venous clots, 1 million, 20% of those patients usually are postoperative. And up to 30% of patients who have venous clots will die from them without any warning often. And it carries a cost burden of up to $12 billion. It's a huge problem in the healthcare setting. And currently there's really no way to monitor for clots after the patient leaves the hospital and is outside of the care of the physician. My background is in medicine, specifically in neurosurgery and critical care. And I'm currently in a fellowship, which is how this whole crazy thing came about, in Memphis, Tennessee, doing a postdoc fellowship called Paths to Products, which basically teaches people like me with my background how to commercialize intellectual property. So I started thinking about this idea over the past couple of years, got into this program. They really fostered my ability to kind of think of how to do that. And then OnRamp and Launch Lane came along, and here I am. So yeah, well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for flying in today. Erika's a trooper, and we appreciate all the insight you're going to bring.
Thank you.
What about you, Zave? Do you want to intro yourself and how you got involved with OnRamp?
Yeah, my name is Zave Smith. I'm running a company called XBound. We just launched. I mean, literally, I feel like the baby's been born, but we haven't quite brought it home from the hospital yet. Haven't seen the moil yet. XBound is a recruitment site, sort of like Indeed or Monster, but we're targeting late career and semi-retired people. We've noticed, what got me going was noticing 4 trends. One of them was how hard it is for people over 50 to get back in the workforce if they're downsized or resized or outsized. And number two, there's just a huge number of people retiring in the United States, and it's over 10,000 a day. 40% of them will re-engage in the workforce. Three, I saw a lot of people with amazing business savvy and skills and technical knowledge. And they went home, they were bored, and it would seem like a massive waste. And part of the issue is they didn't really want to work 50, 60 hours a week, which they've been doing for 50 years, but they could find a way to stay engaged and get back in the workforce on a part-time or project basis, they would love it. And the other thing was noticing companies, especially young companies, who spent an enormous amount of their time reinventing the wheel. And they just had a couple people on board who had some, experience, would really help propel their growth quite a bit. So it was those four trends that were rattling around my brain. When COVID hit, my photography business kind of shrunk to zero and gave me some time. And that's when I started working on XBound. And I have to say, it was really a lot of the knowledge and support I got from the Science Center team here, from the OnRamp program and the Startup Roundtable program, and the Founders 30 in Bucks County. That gave me so much support, emotional support, technical support that got me where we are, that we've actually launched the product.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Tanya?
Tanya Morris, Mind Your Business. I am the last founder and resident. Tracy asked me when I came in, did I feel a sense of relief? I told her absolutely not, because I enjoyed it so much. I had such a great experience with hanging out with the founders and just being a part of the program. I love the Venture Cafe. My organization is called Mom Your Business. We're on a mission to help Black and brown female founders to grow their business exponentially through education, access to capital, and mentorship. And we'll be launching our second cohort of Founders to Funders, which is our Business Accelerator program. Shout out to Kiva, who I saw here, who's one of my founders, is coming into our next cohort. And so I'm excited about that. That was something that started out of the pandemic. We had our last, I hang my hat on the Black Girl Ventures launch being the last launch in here at the cafe. Yeah. And that was kind of like the launch for us, because I remember very plainly calling Shelly the next day and said, hey, I think I want to do an accelerator program, and her asking me, where do you want to accelerate them to? And so here we are going into our second cohort. And we have been able to put into the hands of our founders $30,000 worth of diluted capital. So I'm really happy about that.
No, that's wonderful. And I think I'm super excited to speak with all three of you today. Today is all about asking questions. Like, I have questions for the panelists, and we're definitely going to take questions from all of you who are joining us remotely and for the people who are here in person. So we do have a poll question to kick off, because I think it's starting any company, no matter what stage, you always have to have that first step of saying yes to starting your business. So our first poll question, which Emily is going to be sharing with you, is, what's the biggest obstacle in the way to saying yes to starting your business? Or what was the biggest, if you've already started your business and started your startup, what was the biggest obstacle that you faced? Was it your mindset? Was it your education, access to capital, technical help, creative thinking? All these things listed out. So please participate in the poll, just so we get a feel for how can we best support you to say yes to starting what your idea really is. So we'll go back to the poll after all this.
Do you want to leave that up?
Yeah, sure. You can leave that up. So all right. So like now that the three of us are like in this, like everyone always talks about like that aha, like I got it. When did you know you wanted to start your business? I know we touched about it a little bit, but like, what was your aha moment? And like, do you distinctively remember that, or you go first?
I actually kind of do. I think it was like several trends I had noticed that were kind of rattling around my brain. But I was actually my wife and I do a lot of bike riding on Pennsylvania's rail trails. And I was actually riding on the Lehigh Valley Gorge Trail. It must have been late fall of 2019. And suddenly all these things congealed into this idea of, a recruitment site for late career people. That's a really cool idea. And then I realized, because of the team I built at my brand design firm, Auxiliary, that I actually, while I didn't know how to do any of this stuff, I actually, by this stage in my life, have developed a network of really smart people who could help me. And then once COVID hit and I had some time in my hands, I went, let's go for it. So, but yeah, it was actually riding my bike on a rail trail.
That's cool.
It's a very interesting.
I don't, mine isn't quite as.
It's like sometimes it's a bunch of experiences, right?
I will say that because I grew up kind of in a military environment, and where Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama. I don't know if any of you guys know what Huntsville is. So it's military, and there's Space and Rocket Center, and there's aeronautic engineers everywhere. And so in school, we just kind of always, you know, that was a part of what we did was engineering. And once I got into medicine, I always kind of pulled from different knowledge base that I had, like some engineering, some from medicine, some from life sciences. And somewhere along the way, I really wanted to, medicine is so traditional in its, in the course you take to become a doctor. There's not a lot of veering off. And so thinking about how you can innovate in medicine is not something that you are exposed to a lot, you know, during your training. And so there's key people I can remember thinking to myself, wow, I wonder how they do that, because they're a surgeon and they have this startup company that, you know, has this really awesome technology. And I remember seeing, the one thing that I remember is seeing those people and saying, I wonder how I can do that. In my head, I thought to myself, well, I'm probably going to have to go the same course. Like, I'll be in medical school, and then I'll finish my graduate work, and then I'll do my residency program and a fellowship, and I'll practice for 10 years. And then I can actually start to do something innovative as an entrepreneur. And it didn't happen that way for me. and you know, things happen, life happens. And when I got into this program, the fellowship in Memphis, I thought to myself, wow, you know, I came to this position not necessarily thinking that this was what I was going to do. But now that I'm here, I can actually see how I can bring all of these things together and become an entrepreneur, which is the one thing that I've never done before, is business. So I think, you know, it was a course of things that happened for me. But once I did that, and I started, you know, trying to create a network for myself that was really more focused on entrepreneurs, and you have to have a network of entrepreneurs. Like, that's, I'm sure you're going to ask that question.
No, absolutely.
I'm going there now, because I think that was one of the things that, again, I saw a few of them that did it, but I didn't have that network of people at different stages of entrepreneurship. So I think that's the element that brought that, you know, OnRamp and Launchline really brought together for me.
Nice. Well, I think network is huge. And I think you're so right that in different stages, your network matters. And especially like today you have a list of, you know, 25 people who are on this call with you or in this room. And it's like, start taking notes, start connecting with them on LinkedIn. Like, this is how you build it today, because you never know who the person is that you're going to connect with. So just keep at it, start today. Like, that's my first assignment for all of you. It's like, connect with each other on LinkedIn, take a screenshot of your computer and do that.
You know, I would add something about network.
Yeah.
Like, I look back at my journey, and like the people who I relied on for advice in, let's say, the first 3 months of the business. And then there was they kind of evolved, and then there was a new group that kind of helped me out. And there's a new group that kind of helped. You kind of like revolve through your support system and your advisors. You're not going to get anyone who's going to help you in stage 1 who's helping you in stage 10. You just got to keep, they burn out. And you just kind of keep going. And in some ways, I feel like, okay, I got some really smart people helping me out now.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
No, and it's, I'll just add one more thing to that. And you never know where those people are going to come from. Like, look at your personal network too. Like, you never know who your neighbor is, who your mom's friend is. Like, things like that. Maybe that don't help you at step one, like Zave was saying, but maybe at step 2 or step 3. So just keep that in mind as you start interacting with people in this like new ecosystem. So I guess we talked about like the aha kind of like where the idea came from. But all right, I'll shoot it over to you, Tanya, first. So like when you were like, all right, I want to do Mom Your Business, I want to start this accelerator. What were some of the first steps you did to even create your business? Like how did you make it legitimate? Like, you know, how did you actually incorporate and start it?
So, I mean, for me, just to start with the aha moment part of things, when we started Mom Your Business back in 2017, I used to always do like community events. I had another friend that I worked with, and we used to host tea parties for women and that kind of thing. And we did a Mother's Day weekend event, and it was called Mom Your Business. And I thought I was just going to go home and that was going to be that and go back to work at Chain. And who's one of my board members now, I think Nakia called me like 12 o'clock at night, and she was like, yo, I think this is more than a one-time thing. I think you need to really think about it. I see Mom Your Business retreats and this, that, and other thing. And we put together a brainstorming session, and that was really kind of how we got started. I didn't know what it was going to be though.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I didn't know what it was going to be. Then we pitched for BGV for it to be a co-working space for women, right? Then we won 36 for 75 here and didn't need a co-working space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So that was kind of like a game changer. So okay, so like it's like now what are we going to be, right? And so again, it was really that question that Shelly asked me, where are you going to accelerate them to? That really kind of began to shape,
that's a great question.
You know, to really begin to shape what we were going to do. And we were, you know, Chain kind of helped the process because they laid me off. Okay, you don't have no job now. What so now what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Tanya. So you know, so for me, because I had already been kind of so used to helping women with creating businesses and things like that, you know, I knew who to call. I mean, and I had a network already. So, you know, I brought in Dom from CG in Philly, who was one of our speakers here to help us to get our 501c3 or, you know, and other certifications. And that was really it for me. The structure to me wasn't as important as what the offering was going to be.
Of course.
You know, that for me was really kind of more important for what we were doing.
Yeah.
You know, I think you got a really interesting point there, because I think the mission is when times get tough or I feel depressed about whatever or exasperated by what's going on, I brain goes to the mission, because I think the mission's important. And I know you believe in the mission.
Yep.
And I know you believe in your mission. And I think if you don't have a mission you believe in, it's just not going to work. But if you have a mission you believe in, it can really help keep you going.
Yeah, and it keeps you focused, right? Or, you know, it keeps you, you know,
keep your eye on the prize.
You know, keeping your eyes on the prize, for lack of a better, you know, word, because it just keeps you, you know, singular focused on the goal. You know what I mean? So I would agree with that, Zave. That's very important.
No, I love that, and I think it's all about it's, you know, everyone in startup world, they talk about your problem and your solution, and it's about falling in love with your problem and not the solution. You hit it on the nail on the head. Like first you thought it was a co-working space, then you weren't sure if it was going to be a retreat, like all this stuff. So it's like fall in love with the problem and then be okay with changing the solution as you iterate. Thank you.
That was
I think that's what my wife did. She fell in love with the problem. That's a different story.
One of our first sessions was been featured from Uncommon Individuals, was called "Marry the Problem, Date the Solution."
Yeah.
And so that was the first session that we had, and that's a great way of looking.
Tanya, I was going to say for your mission session, I was so impressed. Like I think it's a pretty hard exercise to sit down and do your mission. And so Christy Traylor was leading your session, and I was so impressed with the last cohort's ability in 5 minutes time to like articulate what their mission was, and like it was crisp and tight. So I was super impressed by that.
You know, that's an interesting thing, because when I started Exhilarate 5 years ago, me and my co-founder, you know, we reached out for some advice, and another founder of a different design firm said to me, you guys should really sit down and do a mission statement. It's really important that you have a mission statement. And we talked about that for a while. I said, I came back a couple of weeks later and said, no, it's really hard to do. We're struggling doing that. I said, oh, don't worry, it took us 4 years.
Wow.
It does.
You know why? Because people think mission statements are reserved in a lot of ways for nonprofit organizations, and they don't really think about it in that making money in a for-profit business.
But you know, if you go to the basics of what a business should be, right? There's a problem, you have a solution, and you have a way of monetizing that solution, bigger and bigger. The problem is the mission.
That's it.
What is the problem you're solving? And if it's worthwhile, it's actually not a problem, it's a mission.
Yeah. And I think some of you talked about co-founders and people who helped you figure out some of these early steps. So let's talk about team, right? And like the role team plays in starting a business. So I'd love to kick this to you, Erika, and like well, one, do you have a team, or how have you built a team to date? And, you know, this is like, we all started off in some capacity as solo entrepreneurs. So how are you filling in the gaps with your company?
This is a good question. For me, I started this, really got incorporated and really started honing in on what I wanted to do in January of this year. And once I kind of did that and established what my mission was going to be, now it helped me lay the framework of what my milestones were going to be to achieve that. And then that's when I could look at each of the things and say, I know I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. I definitely have no experience with this. I have some, but I may need to pull other people in. And I'm still working that out. I mean, this is something that I think number one is understanding and establishing what you can and cannot do so that you even have the focus to put towards who can I bring in to do those things. And so I utilize OnRamp mentors and Launch Lane mentors and people in my program in Memphis too a lot. So, because right now it's, you know, first of all, funding is one thing.
Of course.
So you may know who you need to bring on, but you may not necessarily have money to pay for people to come and do those things for you. So I think for me, it's been really grabbing onto my mentors and my advisors for as much as I can, and them helping me work through how I can get to the next step with funding so that I can bring people on who have that expertise. And that's kind of how I'm doing.
No, I think that's a wonderful answer, and we'll definitely dig in deeper, I'm sure, during this time as to how to find good mentors and advisors.
Yeah.
But I want to kick this question to everyone because I think everyone approaches filling in the gaps and building their teams in different ways. So how are you doing it, Zave?
I was fortunate that I had a good network through my brand design firm to help me get started.
I thought you were going to say I know how to do everything.
Erika, I'm glad you finally realized that I'm looking at, you know. And they got me as far as I am, but I realized that the next stage of the company, I need people with more technical knowledge in the specific area we are operating, which is online recruitment. So my goal right now is to do some fundraising, so I have money, I can pay some salaries and hire the next level team. But I was very fortunate that when I had the idea, I had a network of people and business partners and Exhilarate that were supportive and that could get me where I needed to go in this first minimum viable product. Going forward, it's probably going to require a next level of expertise, and that I'm probably going to have to pay for and hire, and unless I get really lucky, someone drops in the sky. Actually, someone did drop in the sky for one aspect of my business. I got this guy in Chicago who just heard about XBound, and he loves what I'm doing, and he thinks I'm doing a terrible job of curating the news section, what we call insights. And he's taking it over. Yeah. And I go, well, Michael, how much do you want? Oh, I don't know anything. I just want to do it. Okay.
That's how people.
I would say, like, people like that,
those
like,
are the best, those are the jewels.
Yeah, and I'm sure at one point he's going to burn out or want some cash or something.
Don't burn them out, just don't burn them out.
Well, the problem is sometimes people burn themselves out. They don't know how to say no.
That's true.
You know. But anyway.
Well, what about yourself, Connor? What's the modern business team?
I've been able to rely on, I did community engagement for 20 plus years when I was in the nonprofit space. So I know how to recruit volunteers right well. And I've been really fortunate to be able to recruit the right kind of people and establish the right kind of partnerships as well. And so, like right now, we have a communications intern position open. It's on Zave's website. You can find it. You can find it on XBound, as well as some other places. Then one of our partners is actually going to pay for the position. So that's one thing. And we are just now getting to the point where we're able to hire. So that's the other thing.
That's
so
wonderful.
I'm going to hire a community manager for founders to funders, so that because my goal is ultimately all I'm doing is teaching and raising money. That's really ultimately where I want to be, is just teaching and raising money. And so I think that you have to be really strategic in how you hire and how you build your team. And like Erika said, I've learned to rely heavily on my mentors and advisors, like really, really heavily. Jim Burnett and Shelley Bell from BGB, and those kind of folks have really, Scott Wheeler from Strategy Arts, those folks have really been very monumental to what we've been able to do. So I think having the right advisors and mentors as a part of your circle is critical to your business's growth.
Oh,
Can I add something there?
absolutely.
I think one of the chief jobs of a leader, of a CEO or a founder, is to get other people excited by your vision.
Yep.
And to get other people motivated by your vision, and then keep them, if they want to get involved in your company, either as a volunteer or worker or whatever, advisor, to keep them on task, keep them with the eye on the prize, let them know where you want to go. Yeah. But it's getting them excited, keeping them motivated, and keeping them focused. That is, I think, the most important talent that a leader has.
Yeah, and I've got a really good board too. I've got a tremendous board that have really they work, and I tell all, because I get a lot of ladies because of the work that I've done in nonprofit space. I get a lot of ladies that want to start nonprofits, and I tell them all, you have to have a working board. You cannot have a board that's there for name recognition. You cannot have a board that's there that just wants to be able to show up at events and wave and say that they want. You have to have folks that are really willing to be engaged in what it is that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Unless they're really good at writing big checks.
Unless they're really good at writing checks.
I want to add
then they
one
can
thing
do whatever they want.
What you're saying is the enthusiasm for the mission on your team. And I don't want anyone to get confused with that just being someone who's like a yes man too. Like your team has to be enthusiastic about your mission. That's right. But they also have to be able to not agree with you about something. Yeah. And you be able to take that criticism as well.
You gotta learn how to listen.
You gotta learn how to listen.
And you gotta learn how to learn not to listen.
Well, exactly. I was gonna say one of the experiences I had building my team was I met someone who we got along super well. He's super into concussions, loves sports, loved the mission. But the reality was we had the same skill sets, right? Mm-hmm. Like he was also, business, creative type of person. And as much as I vibed with this person, he wasn't the right fit for my team. So I think that goes back to your point, Erika, where it's like, know what you know well and know what you don't know. And you've got to fill in those gaps. Not everyone is the right hire in terms of building out your team. And I know no one talks about interns. I love interns. Interns fill the gaps, especially at the early stages. But no, this is really wonderful. And you brought up my next conversation point, Tanya, was that everyone always asks about money, right? How do we do this, right? How do we fund our ventures? How do we get this off the ground? So I think everyone always has a really interesting story about capital and raising capital in the early stages. So I don't know who wants to take this one first, but I don't know. You'll go, Tanya. How did you finance Mom Your Business when you first started off?
First, I had a job.
Yep.
I had a job. I was working full time at Cheney University in 2017. Again, got laid off in 2019, and then a pandemic. And so for the first 2 years, I never took a salary because I had a salary. right? Because I had change, so I had a salary, so I never took a salary. And then as things began to change, my board was like, what are you doing? Why aren't you paying yourself? So, you know, they were like, you got to come up with a way to be able to pay yourself. And so, you know, now and again, we have sponsorships and we have partnerships and grants, and then we have fee for service programs as well that have allowed us to begin to really be able to finance what it is that we're doing.
Nice. It's always good when someone's willing to pay
It's
for what
always
you're doing.
good.
Like that's the whole goal of the business for sure. But
Absolutely.
what about yourself, Zave? How did you fund XBound?
Well, I was very lucky because being a partner in the brand design company, my personal income did not fluctuate, so I stayed on that. And basically, I raised money to friends and family around, and I had some very generous supporters that got me going. And I also knew how to do what we've done for peanuts. We've been very thrifty with our money. One of the things I always wanted to make sure I wasn't was a really great company burning through capital. So we managed to launch for, you know, $25,000 at that point. And so we're very thrifty with our money. We raised a little, but I'm at the point now where I do need to raise some money, but I haven't taken any money out of the business at all.
Nice.
Okay. Erika?
Well, it's a really interesting question for where we are right now. I'm just now starting to I don't know, flirt with investors.
That's a nice word.
Yes.
I just brought a short skirt.
So, you know, the program, the fellowship that I'm in that ends in November has been my source of income. So, you know, I had that kind of a sense of a comfort in terms of, at least I feel like I have a job right now.
Yeah.
And that job is dedicated to creating this business. So on top of it, it's a job that helps me focus 100% of my time towards doing, you know, everything with the company. But of course it ends, you know, so you have to start thinking about what's the next step and how are you going to continue to scale your business. And one of the things that I started to do, because I knew I had a problem with it and just so happens to be a way that I can make money for the business, is learning how to communicate what we do in pitching. And one of the things that we work on with OnRamp is learning how to pitch your business. And I forced myself to start doing a bunch of competitions just because I speak very scientifically, but that doesn't really go over well when you're speaking to people who don't have a science background. Yes. So I wanted to figure out what were the things that I was doing that wasn't resonating with people. And in doing, you know, a bunch of those, I started making money from them. So I was able to bring in recently, you know, some money for the company just doing pitches. In addition to that, with the type of technology that I have, it qualifies for SBIR grants with NSF and NIH. So I'm also going the route of applying for those and starting to, again, flirt with investors. So this is, you know, in terms of the stage, we're much earlier, but at the same time, you know, definitely thinking about how we can move forward here.
No, that's great. I think, look, at this early stage, you could do it so many different ways, right? And I think we all talked about that. It's, you know, my personal story was the same one that you had. I had a job and I worked full time and I worked on this nights and weekends until I could save enough money to put into my business to start off. Then I couldn't tap into family and friends, but if you have that opportunity, absolutely do it. And there's no, like, take full advantage of that. I love grant money, any government money. You got to apply. You definitely have to do applications.
It's work.
It's work, but it's so worth it because it's free money that is out there for you. And then, then there's the angels, the venture capital, the accelerator programs that working on your messaging and communicating your business strongly is going to be critical in order to get to that next step. So I'm excited that we will talk about all of this during like our fundraising session during OnRamp to really dig into it. But like everyone's journey with fundraising and capital is different based on your situation, but I feel confidently that there is a way to do it no matter what your situation is. It's just a matter of finding what's the right fit for you. Like for me, it was, hey, it took me longer to start my business, right? Like some people are like, you've been doing this a while. Like, why did it take you so long? I was like, well, I couldn't do it full time when I started, and that's okay. Everyone's journey is different and every business is different. So I think that's really cool.
You know, I think one of the other skills you need as an entrepreneur, besides getting people excited about your mission, is the ability to ask for money. Either ask for help, ask for advice, or ask for money. Okay, will you give me 50K or you give me 10K? You know, it depends on the situation, the person, and all that, but you have to be willing to ask for money.
Yeah.
Not easy.
So I heard a VC say that if you ask for advice, you get money. You ask for money, you get advice.
Yes.
And I have found that often to be true, especially with some of the founders that we have worked with. And you know, Black women are often over mentored and underfunded. And so, you know, I told a colleague of mine a while back, I said, you know, if I see one more program that says you're going to get a mentor, I'm a scream. Because, you know, it's just at some point, capital. And this is no disrespect. I'm a mentor. My goal is to mentor 1,000 Black women by 2023. At some point, capital has to become more important than the mentorship.
Well, 100%. I couldn't agree with that more, like that statement more. And something we'll talk about advisors and mentors, but something that I've been seeing a lot of startups doing lately, it's like everyone wants to give you advice, right? There's a lot of free mentorship out there. Hey, like we're offering that as well. But for advisors, real people that want to work with your business specifically, we've been taking them on with safe notes, right? We've been asking them, hey, like if you want to be an advisor for us, put some skin in your game into our company, whether it's, you know, $2,000, $5,000, anything that says, hey, you will, you know, you're really part of it and not the opposite, right? Like that's something I've been seeing a lot of startups do, and I'm happy to dig into that in another session. But you're right. Like every little bit counts. And hey, at the end of OnRamp, you know, we have a pitch competition. There's $5,000 that will definitely help your startup out. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I want to talk about obviously startups aren't easy, right? It's a long journey. We were talking about earlier, it's a marathon, not a sprint. What's been some tough obstacles you faced, and like how have you overcome them, and how do you stay sane while doing all this, right? Like how do you you know,
sane?
I don't know. You have to be a little bit.
That wasn't sane. That was not sane before I started it. So there's really no change.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
How do you keep your mental health in check while doing this? You know.
Well, you know, as you and I were talking earlier, I think it is a marathon, and you got to take care of yourself. You got to get your exercise in. You got to get your sleep in. You got to get nutrition in, and you got to take care of those who are important and who you love. But in between all that takes about 30 seconds a day. In between all that, you got to work. It's just got to do the job.
Yeah.
But you got to know it is going to be a marathon. It's not going to happen overnight unless you're some savant or just lucky.
Unless you're the top.
What was that?
Unless you're me.
Yes, it's not going to happen overnight, and you just keep grinding and you keep learning. And I think in some ways you have to enter into a dialogue with your business. So in other words, you tell your business what you need, but then your business is going to keep you an open heart. Your business will tell you what it needs. And you enter into a dialogue with your business and let it lead you as much as you lead it. You'll get there, maybe with some luck.
I like that, Zave.
I like that. I also I don't know if you have any words of wisdom of what keeps you.
I would say one thing that when I first got into the program, one thing that we started to do, and you know about this, is what is your 5%, right? I think one of the things for me is coming into a mindset of an entrepreneur. I had to leave certain ways of thinking about accomplishing tasks. the way that I did in healthcare setting very differently. In healthcare setting, for me, it's like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to take care of it. And I'm just going to go ahead and take care of it now, right? But you have to have a team. You can't just always rely on yourself to do everything. And understanding that part, that you have to ask for help. And then understanding how to prioritize and understanding how to celebrate when you have 5%. I'm looking at you like, yeah. When you have 5%, even if the task is not 100% done, but you have 5% of that, you have to celebrate those things, because stuff happens. You put down, this is for me, maybe I'm just speaking for myself. Yeah. I'm like, 2 weeks from now, I'm gonna have my protocol written. And 5 weeks from now, I'm gonna have this done. And I look at it in 5 weeks, I'm like, protocol is not ready. Yeah. And you can get discouraged from that, but also there's so many things that come up as an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting off, because you're the person that is a CTO, CEO, you know, all of those things. Yes. So you have to really celebrate when, you know, the things that you are accomplishing, and then continuously iterate on setting your goals and
you know, the phrase, hurry up and be patient. And the reason I'm saying this, for example, I met someone randomly at an event who happened to be in the venture capital arm of a very, 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 very large company. And he promised to introduce me to the head of their HR department. I'm going, yeah. And a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, 6 weeks go by, not hearing much, you know, stayed in touch. And all of a sudden, last Friday, hey, you available Monday? She's free. And all of a sudden, I had a fantastic meeting with this like person who could probably really affect the trajectory of the company. And the meeting went really, really well. But you know, sometimes you just have to let other people do their thing at their own pace. So you have to hurry up and be patient.
Do I have to?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, that's totally.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
That's the hard. That's really hard.
I think the one thing that a lot of people say in entrepreneurship is you have to, you know, be passionate about the problem. Like the passion is your motivation that like drives you through. But I disagree with that to a certain extent. I think it's about discipline. Yeah. And it's just about showing up every day and doing the work. And sometimes, yeah, the proposal doesn't get finished on time, right? Like, but it's just chipping away at it day after day after day. And it's like passion and motivation comes in waves, because someday you're gonna love your business. You're like, it's the best thing. Sometimes you're gonna be like, oh man, why did I choose this path? And it's gonna go up again. So I think that's one of the big factors that I've just used to keep myself in check, is just discipline, a little bit each day, keep chopping at it, and eventually you look back and you're like, whoa, I've come pretty far away. So that's pretty cool. I know we're wrapping up with time, right?
Do you want to see the poll results?
Yeah, I was gonna say, definitely want to see the poll results, and if there's any questions from the crowd or from in here,
who's the best looking in the crowd?
we'll definitely answer those. But if not, we could wrap up the session. I know we're so excited to actually start next week. I'm bringing in oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is a poll.
Yeah.
A business.
Well, yeah.
It's interesting because everyone here, like, you know, the problem is not creativity. It's not that they don't have an idea. It's not that they're, you know, they have the intelligence and the ideas, but yet there's technical skills, the money behind it. So I think we got a good group here.
Yeah, this is great. I think this is super helpful for us, because we'll definitely tailor the program to make sure that we hit, how do you find the technical, you know, support? How do you learn how to be okay with failure, right? And like learning how to iterate faster. How do you get to that financial security, at least like, so you can start doing your venture full time eventually. Yeah.
Can I speak to that? I'm sorry, can I speak to that technical help piece?
Yes.
And
then what's that?
No.
That is so entrepreneurial, because you get so inundated with doing everything So the automation and what do you hand off was speaks to your point earlier about filling those gaps, right? And so who can I hand this over to?
See, that's why you need to post it on XBound.
That's why.
That's right.
So it looks like there was a question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what's the difference between access to capital and financial security? Aren't they kind of the same thing or no?
I would say no. Then.
I would say no, or at least in my experience is like financial security to me is like, do I have a roof to live under? Do I have food on my plate? Can I pay off my bills? Like, and that's real. Like,
That's the day-to-day.
That's the day-to-day financial security. Like, can I even start taking risks with my extra money? And then access to capital is, hey, now I have a working business. I got something to prove. Let's add some gas to this fire and like how do we grow it? So that's how in my head I did.
I agree.
Differentiating for that.
So our question online is, what's been some of the rewarding things for you personally to be working on your mission? Ooh.
Can I start that?
Yeah,
Please.
Well, I will start that one by saying last week, all three of the winners for the Stimulate the Startup pitch were all businesses that were personally recruited and mentored by Mom Your Business. So that was probably one of the most rewarding things that we have done as of last week. So that was really my reward. And the fact that we're starting another cohort when I still don't clearly know what I'm doing is also pretty amazing. So those have been some rewarding things for me. So
What about you, Zave?
I can actually honestly say, I can look around the room here and I can see some of the most rewarding things that's happened to me. It's the amount of support and the people I've met since I've launched this. If there's people like Tanya or Troy over there who I'm seeing for the first time in real life. And the people will be on the startup roundtable in a few minutes. It's those people who have heard me and have believed in me and have lent me time and advice, and those relationships, I just feel blessed.
I think for me is the most rewarding is when I recognize that my mindset had changed about what I was capable of doing as an entrepreneur. And that came from having, within myself and also my network and support system, encouraging me and letting me know when they recognized that there had been a change in what I was doing. And it really, once that mindset changed for me, it really put things into focus on where I needed to go. And you could actually see, this is where I want to go, and I can actually see how I'm going to get there. And I mean, I've had some things, some great things happen along the way, and some things that I was like, oh, I wish that didn't happen. But the fact remains is that mission, what you're trying to accomplish, never wavers. And when I developed that mindset, I think that was the biggest, it's more of a personal moment, but yeah.
No, I think you said it earlier, like you got to celebrate these experiences because there's some highs and some lows on your journey. And I know like what's been most rewarding for me, like I think the mindset one was something that resonated with me deeply. And now that our product is in use, like getting to see that our product actually helps people, it's like it makes this all worth it, because that's what has driven us to start this today.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think we're wrapped up with the panel. Thank you so much, panel, for being here today.
I want to say good luck to this new cohort. Stick with it, learn what you can. It will help you distill. I mean, basically what you're going to be doing over the next, 8 weeks, is taking a notion to an idea and maybe even to a product. It's just a process of distillation. Rely on each other, rely on the people that they're going to bring to you, and good luck.
Yeah, and after today, like I'm going to be your resource, your main point of contact. So utilize me as much as possible until next week. If you haven't joined OnRamp, there's still 1 day to join. So get your application in if you were on the fence. Happy to answer any questions about that afterwards too. I'm super excited for week 1. We're doing customer discovery and learning about your market and your problem. I'm bringing in Caitlin Schroeder. She's the former assistant director for Stanford's entrepreneurship program, as well as a VP of product for a startup out in Silicon Valley. So she knows her stuff. She's going to be an awesome, awesome speaker to help you flesh out your product ideas. And yeah, can't wait to join and meet all of you. I expect LinkedIn invitations from all of you after this. We'll get rid of that, all right? Yeah.
Me too. Mentor Mobile on LinkedIn. So.
All right.